Out of the Wall of Fame inductees themselves. Is Tom O'Neill here? Tom O'Neill, would you come up to introduce our first honoree?
First off, I want to do a shout out to the kitchen. This was a pretty amazing dinner, wasn't it? And actually, I should have said first off, congratulations to these spectacular students. I think that many of us in the room who have a couple of years on us can feel pretty comfortable with this group of young people coming behind us. You guys are spectacular. After untold hours of preparation for this introduction, I now find, there's the evidence, I now find this program that has almost, all the things I was going to say. So I'm not going to make it too easy on you. You all have to read this. Not now, but sometime you have to read this. So what I'm going to do is kind of fill in the gaps. Fill in the gaps. Let's start with a phrase called "a man for all seasons." A lot of people in this room know that terminology. Even if maybe saw a movie way back early by that name. A man for all seasons. I actually looked up the definition of that to see if there was a definition. And there is. A man who is ready to cope with any contingency and whose behavior is always appropriate to every occasion. Those are pretty nice words. There's no expression that I can think of that better describes the person who I have the honor of introducing, which is my dear friend Gary Spratling. A man for all seasons. So now I'm going to go off script a little bit and fill in some things that aren't in this description. Gary, as you might surmise, grew up in San Francisco, thus attended this school. A family of 4 brothers, 3 of whom are here, 2 of whom are here tonight. Don and Dick and their lovely wives, and Gary's lovely wife, Kathy. The Spratling boys, 4 of them, unfortunately, their older brother passed some time ago, grew up with tools in their hands. By the time they were old enough to be able to hold a tool, they were starting to tear things apart and build things back together. And from what I can tell, I didn't know them back then, but from what I can tell, their father was a hero, their mother was a saint, as these boys tore into life. By the time they were teenagers, they'd taken apart just about everything in the house and anything else they could get a hold of. But particularly, their interest was cars. And they, as teenagers, built, unbuilt, and rebuilt again cars, boats, motorcycles. They drove them, they raced them. Gary even went on to race for the Ford Motor Company in a dragster team. So, Gary, after getting through all of that, and the academics you'll see in the program, but let's just say graduate degrees from UC Berkeley, suddenly got yanked out of law school to go into the Army. Now, because of his testing, the Army had the presence of mind to send him to what's called the Adjutant General's School, whereas a young man, I don't even know the age, but let's say maybe 20 or 21, becomes an instructor at the Adjutant General's School, teaching business, economics, etc., to Army majors, colonels, even generals. Pretty extraordinary. The second year, he gets reassigned. The Army, in its wisdom, reassigns him to become a courier. Well, now that's pretty prestigious business, being a courier, right? However, the catch to that is he gets sent to Vietnam, and he's a courier for payroll of soldiers. Guess what that means? He gets to fly in helicopters and go into the frontline battle zones to deliver the payroll to the soldiers. Well, he managed to survive that. And back to law school. I think most of this is in here now, but I'm going to touch on a few things. Back to law school. Out of school with his passing the bar in 1977. With his academics from Berkeley, his military record, he could have gone to any law school, any legal firm in this country, probably. But what did he do? He chose to go into government service. Went with the U.S. Justice Department for many years here in the San Francisco region, where at one point he was awarded by the California Bar Association the best antitrust lawyer in California. I don't think that's in the business here. Eventually got pulled off to Washington, D.C., where he became the Deputy Assistant Attorney General to the Attorney General of the Justice Department, heading up the Antitrust Division of the U.S. Justice Department. While in that area, he found something in the codes, I don't know the language exactly, but he discovered something and made some changes that resulted in billions of dollars of new money coming into the coffers of the United States government, having to do with the way international companies did business with America. Toward the end of that part of his career, again not in the program, he was awarded not once, but twice, something called the Presidential Rank Award, which is the highest award that can be given to a government executive in the United States government. These are presidential awards that were given to him by President Clinton and President Bush. So, at a point of retirement from the government service, Gary went with one of the largest international law firms, certainly in this country, and developed a department new to this law firm that ended up with hundreds of lawyers around the world under his supervision to help international companies understand how to properly deal with the United States in the way they're supposed to deal with the United States, following the laws and the regulations that he had developed. 20-some countries, 5 continents, the biggest companies and banks in the world were involved in the work that he did to work with our government in a proper way that ended up, again, taking in billions of dollars. Now, while doing these things, I hope I don't go on too long. While doing these things, we lived in a town called Tiburon. He still had the time, if you can imagine, to serve on the city council, was the mayor of the town, negotiated a very difficult process of the redevelopment of our downtown area, creating a park on the waterfront that's spectacular. Served as the chairman of the board of something called the Marine Community Foundation, which in 2021, he was the chairman and one of the early people to form this organization. In 2021, that organization managed $3.6 billion of philanthropic assets that he helped to start. While helping people like that and organizations like that, of course, he is a philanthropist himself. I'm probably missing some things, but I'll tell you what. These are things that Gary has done And they on their own warrant, I think, and I congratulate you on having him for your Hall of Fame. These are things that he has done, but I want you more importantly to know who he is. So I said the man for all seasons. I'm going to relabel those seasons and say that they are integrity, honesty and truthfulness, sincerity, and commitment. These four attributes add up to his bond. There is no law, there is no regulation, there is no contract, however complex or long, that can stand up to Gary's word. If Gary tells you something, it will happen. It will be truth. And if he makes a commitment to you, you will receive the result of that. It will happen. So this is a man who is a man for all seasons. My friend, Gary Spratling.
Thank you, and good evening. I'm greatly honored to be the recipient of this Hall of Fame recognition. It touches me greatly. But before I go on to remarks, I thought I wanted to tag on to what Coach Ray said. And then he said that the big hitters were coming behind him. Not true. Not true, Ray. I don't know you, but I would follow you anywhere on the program or anything else, just by hearing the way people responded to you and the things you said tonight. And it is the faculty, it's the faculty, not alumni like myself. It's the faculty that contribute to the reputation of this school. Let me go with you. The process that brought me here this evening, and by process I don't mean the achievements, but I mean the personal and administrative actions that got me from the point of nomination to standing here in front of you, has been a very interesting one to me, including the last 5 minutes. And the reason I say the last 5 minutes is because when I at first asked Tom if he would present me tonight, he said unhesitatingly, sure. And then he added something that, of course, I should have expected. He said, but there's going to be the same condition that you had with me when I asked you to be the presenter for me, when I was a presenter for Tom when he was named the Citizen of the Year in Tiburon. And that condition was, I'm not going to tell you ahead of time what I'm going to say. So I had some anxiety. Because at Tom's, when I was presenting Tom, I told a story that I know he wished I hadn't told. And I also knew he had a lot of ammunition on me. And I knew further that we had mutual friends, Ken and Joan Goslinger, who were at our table, who have more familiarity with this group and who know the ground rules and might want to get in and are fun. But as you can see, my anxiety was misplaced. It was just, Tom, it was a beautiful, it was an erudite and touching tribute to me, one that anyone would be so grateful to receive. Thank you very much. Not just for your words, but for your friendship. Thank you. Back to the connection to this process. When I was, I think there's only one or two other people in this room who know this, but when I was first nominated for induction into the Wall of Fame, I was unresponsive. And I thought I was the subject of a very clever prank. I'm being absolutely serious with you folks. I think, you know, you hear so much about it today, and indeed, I have been the subject of some attempt to get me to do things, I think what I thought was happening is what I understand the current lexicon is punked, and it's been popularized by apparently a TV show with the same name, which I've never seen, but I've heard a lot about it. And it wasn't that when David, this thing was a completely polished and professional approach to me. But then so are all successful trickery schemes. From my position, I'm looking at it as I've had nothing to do with the school for 62 years. I've never been to a reunion. I don't know the people in the Alumni Association. I'm not active in the Alumni Association. And a school that has a wall of fame for its graduates in today's world? Oh, come on, who does that? That was my attitude. Well, thanks to the persistence, the perseverance of David, I found out that Abraham Lincoln High School of San Francisco does that. And it's been doing it for more than a quarter of a century. Yes. Rich tradition, and has a list of awardees or members of this group that anyone would be proud to join. Anyone. I went to a list of awardees, and I saw an old friend from Lincoln High School, Larry Tribe, who was a member of the same forensics team that Mr. Lathrop put together for state competitions. A person who was and is certifiably brilliant, always beat me at original oratory competitions, and today is a distinguished professor at Harvard University and Harvard Law School, and who is recognized worldwide as the, not one of the, not one of a group, as the preeminent scholar of constitutional law in the United States. He of course, is on your list. And so when you have to appreciate, as I learned all of this, this multifaceted realization was a real epiphany moment for me. It not only converted me from a skeptic to a proud and grateful and somewhat embarrassed honoree, to a person who I was inspired by the work of Lincoln High School in creating such a tradition. I had such respect for the Alumni Association and its Wall of Fame committee for making that contribution to the legacy of the school and for setting up examples for students that they could look to for purposes of role models. And I also became very appreciative of David Whitehead, that he did not give up on me. I ended up saying to myself, this is, and to anybody else who would listen, this is really neat. This is really a neat deal. But another part of that experience that I said taking me from then to now was writing the biography. The biography, which is Tom referred to and is in your program, and which was a condition to accepting induction. And writing the biography was something that David told me, you do the draft, we look it over, and then we post the biography. And but that's one of the conditions. And I said, how easy is that going to be? That's dumb soup. And the reason I say something like that, and it just rolls off of me, is because if you've been a lawyer for decades, if you've held public office, if you've worked in the philanthropic sector, and if you're older than dirt like me, you've done hundreds of biographies for law firm CVs, to make presentations to clients, for appointments to positions, and so on. So I thought this was going to be like rolling off a log. So I was late in submitting my biography to David, and so on a Friday, I told him I'll have it to you by Monday. And mentally, I reserved 2 hours on Sunday morning. You're just going to knock it out and get it done. And 9 hours later on that Sunday, 9 hours later on that Sunday, I was still working on the biography. What the hell took so long? Well, what took so long is number one, this was not a professional biography. I knew when I started to write this thing that there had to be a San Francisco perspective, that it ought to reference my formative years, the years I went to Lincoln, the fact that my brothers went to Lincoln, as Thomas just mentioned, brothers went to Lincoln, what happened after Lincoln, and other things in my life that affected the achievements for which I was being recognized. This was a "This Is Your Life" biography. I've never done a "This Is Your Life" biography, and it was completely foreign to me. The second reason it took so long is that instead of writing, I just kept thinking, and by that I was thinking about old-time great friends from in school, in the Army, in boating and car activities, which Tom referred to, which my brothers and I just used to be involved in, and we still are involved in neighborhood or group projects. In my early years in the Department of Justice, I kept thinking about those friends, and instead of writing, I started trying to locate them and connect with them. And indeed, of all the things that came out of this process, that may have been the one that was most important to me, because in the weeks since I submitted my biography to David, I have continued to try to contact people and have had some fabulous conversations with the friends that we all have that make us what we are today. And so it was a great thing. And the last reason. The last reason it was so hard to finish in 2 hours, is because This Is Your Life biography for a guy goes on like I do, like you're seeing right now. Guy that goes on, that's hard to do because he said it's got to be on one page. So it's 600 words, you know, and, but anyway, at the end of it, I thought, this has just been fabulous. I mean, by the time, that was enough. That is just a fabulous experience because it revitalized my life perspective, made me think of things, bring back to memory things that just precious memories, caused me to refresh friendships that I valued so much. And I'm going to say seriously to all you folks right now, it's going to sound really funny, but I recommend you all do it. You all do one of these things because I'm telling you, don't wait for somebody to require you to do it or get on your case like David got on my case. Come on, get that biography into me. Do it because if you'll indulge me in saying this, you'll be. I believe you'll be better for it. I certainly was. On the other hand, when I gave it to a colleague who had worked with me for a number of years for comments, she at first responded with some very complimentary words about the content. But then the thrust of her remarks became something like this. Gary, you've got to take this right now. You've got to take it and you've got to make one copy and give it to Kathy. And you've got to take the other copy and you've got to take it to your files. And those files are the most important of your documents. I want you to take a folder and label it eulogy and put this in it. You folks are laughing. I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned. I was so taken aback, and I said, "Do you think I'm that close to dying?" She said, No, not that at all. But she says, if you don't do it today, you'll forget to do it. It'll pass out of your thought process. And when that fortunate day comes, and hopefully it's years from now, Kathy and your brothers and others will all be consumed with grief, and they will have that gigantic task in front of them of going through and creating an in memoriam, something that they think you would be proud of. So don't make them do that. And of course she's right, but it still rattled me, and it rattles me a little bit to this day. But that's the downside. That's the downside of doing it. I want to speak for just a minute or two to a topic that is addressed particularly to the students who are here tonight to receive and have received the alumni scholarships. One of the most instructive things that came out of my nomination and the subsequent reflections was the verification of the adage, life is what happens when you're making plans to do other things. We've all heard that, and it's attributed to all kinds of people, and I don't know who you really attribute it to, and other people get credit for popularizing it, including John Lennon, who put it in one of his songs. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who said it, what it is. It's just absolutely true. And I heard all of the. It was just so great to hear the students who've got a concept of what to do and where they're going and the school they're going to and the area that you're going to teach in. But life doesn't always work that way. And I had actually planned. The odds are that your career and your life are not going to go the same the way you plan it at 17 or 18 years old. And it could be some very, and I had planned, if I hadn't taken so much time in the early part of this remarks, I would right now go through what I call a 50,000-foot level review of the times that my career course changed, starting with when I left Lincoln High School at when the teachers at Lee thought I was a mathematics whiz, went to UC Berkeley, got involved with a very heavy load of classes in mathematics and science with an idea of a career in nuclear physics. by the end of the year, I was completely disillusioned with the subject area, with college. I dropped out of school. For a year, I dug ditches, ran a jackhammer 4 hours a day, and a dump truck for PG&E. And you know what? It was the greatest thing that ever happened. And I don't have time to explain why. Well, at least after my parents recovered from the simultaneous near heart attacks when I said I was dropping out of school. But there are other like that, and I don't need to go through them. But some are quite serious. Tom mentioned one getting drafted out of law school. It was a tough deal for me. But the point is that whatever happens, even if it's a change that's imposed upon you, one that you can't conceive of how you can get past what the disruption is to what your plans were. If those of you at that table over there, if you keep your determination on those objectives, which are changing a little because the world has changed, that's what's causing the disruption, the change, and you always do something that you enjoy doing, you will not lose your enthusiasm, you will achieve success, and you will be happy. We all heard another adage: as long as you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I am a walking, talking exemplar of that adage. I worked for many years after a mandatory retirement. I did not retire until I was 77, 78 years old. I know you thought I was 45. I knew it. But anyway, it's just just keep your focus on those things. In conclusion, I've just been blessed in everything in my life. Blessed with a close family relationship, including parents and 4 boys. They couldn't have had greater parents. A wife that supports every endeavor I embark upon. My brother Don, which I'm sort of class of 60, who's here today, and my brother Dick, class of 62, who's here today, and as Tom said, my older brother passed away previously. But I've been blessed in that, and also blessed with good health. And since this award is for achievements, I should say also blessed with both sectors of my legal career. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this, once-in-a-lifetime opportunities in my career, as well as colleagues who were superbly talented, who made me look good at both the Department of Justice and at Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher. And tonight it ends with yet another blessing, and that is both this acknowledgement to go on the the Wall of Fame at Lincoln High School, and as I've explained during my remarks, just how the experience has affected, just the experience of getting here has affected me. For those blessings, I thank the Abraham Lincoln High School of San Francisco Alumni Association and David and the Hall of Fame Committee. Thank you.